Greetings. Well, it's another beautiful, warm, sunny morning here in Hawaii. A little bit too warm. I'm sweating a bit. But nothing compared to what the folks in the central U.S. are experiencing at the moment. I'm sorry. At least we have trade winds to cool us off here instead of tornadoes. Anywho, today I'd like to continue in a series of Bill against the pickle worms. I really enjoy eating cucumbers, squash, and melons. They're some of my favorite foods. They've always been major crops in my garden. It's been a problem for me ever since we moved here to Hawaii because they got this stupid bugaboo over here called the pickle worm, and the thing is voracious. It's almost impossible to stop this pest. It's really a hard one. And so exclusion has been most of my solution here. Now the Godzilla squash, of course, has been pretty much immune, at least to a point. But right here behind me, you see this big white sheet. What we got going on over here is about 2 weeks ago, I planted parthenocarpic cucumbers in exclusion to keep them away from the pickle worms. Well, I am overjoyed because the cucumbers are now almost halfway up the fencing. Take a look here. Check this out. Isn't it beautiful? They're amazing. We have both Socrates and Katrina in here. Their growth rate seems similar, but I think that Socrates is shutting down the race. It's only a couple of weeks since these were transplanted in here from just little bitty seedlings. I am incredibly impressed. The growth rate on this type of parthenocarpic cucumber is just amazing. I've had people tell me that their Godzilla squash doesn't pollinate. Well, you'll see here that I've just picked up one that has failed. Now, if you look at this little guy, you will see there's a hole right here. There's also a hole right there. I'm going to suspect that that's the in and the out from a pickle worm. Let's cut this in two, look inside and see what we got. Oh yeah, see? He's been in and he's been out. Now, the pickle worm is not capable of eating the vine on the Godzilla squash, but it can eat the flowers and the young fruit. So I hear all the time, I hear on the Coconut Telegraph about how, oh, my squash won't pollinate, my squash won't pollinate. Well, that's not the problem. We have plenty of pollinators around here. As a matter of fact, the fruit flies do a pretty good job of pollinating my squash. And so this problem is because your fruit is being consumed by the pickle worm. Now you can do probably, I guess, 1 to 3 things here about it. You can spray the immature squashes with a bacteria like spinosad. That would work. You can bag the squash. As soon as the flower forms, go ahead, pollinate it with a male flower and put it in some sort of a waterproof bag that's going to be large enough for the squash to grow inside of to protect it. That works. The other one is what I do. They don't get them all. The squash is unstoppable, and so I probably end up with maybe 30 or 40% of the fruit somewhere in that vicinity around here that the pickle worm doesn't get to. For me, that's enough because I don't raise this as a commercial crop. I raise it only for us to eat here in the house, and that's plenty enough squash for us. Although it does take an awful large area of land with this vine to be able to get enough squash if you're not going to protect somehow or another. Right here you see a big piece of agribon. It is spread out over the first cantaloupes we have ever tried to grow in Hawaii. Now, I'm actually not the one that chose the seed, nor was I one that chose the idea to try to grow cantaloupe here, although I do like the melon. But the pickle worm has been such a problem that I didn't even want to mess with it. But Ellen happened to pick up a package of Minnesota Midget, which is an old-time cantaloupe on a short vine. I had grown it in the Midwest in the past because it was very, very early. But I had never really thought about using it here. She got hold of it and she says, "Oh, look, midget cantaloupes, it's so cute." Well, it turns out that it was a really, really good choice for raising here because it fits underneath the row cover easily. I don't have to have a mile of protective blanket to keep this cantaloupe underneath because of the short vines. Now, my intention had been that once it started flowering, we were going to go underneath and we were going to go ahead and pollinate the melons by hand. Well, push comes to shove, we got busy, had no time for it. But this morning I happened to lift this up and I got my mind blown because it appears that even though it's been under exclusion, something that walks instead of flies apparently has pollinated the cantaloupes. I'm guessing it's ants. Now, I have seen better sets before in the mainland and other places where I was using bees as pollinators. But look, here they are. They're little baby cantaloupes. There's a bunch of them under here. There's one over there. There's more of them over on that end. Pretty incredible. I don't know what it is that pollinated these cantaloupes under here, but something did. I'm clueless as to who the pollinator was. I don't know. It's very possible it was the ants. They are drawn to sweet stuff, and so I wouldn't be surprised to find they'd have walked through the flowers and carried a little pollen around. Like I said, it's not a huge set, but the vines are completely protected underneath here, so the pickle worms can't get to them. And so I'm excited. It's not a Parthenocarpic melon, but it's still got melons on it. Aloha, y'all have a wonderful day. Happy gardening.